Alright guys, so today we're going to check out the BGVP NS10. Now this is a pair of IEMs. It's basically a pair from the chi-fi market, which in my opinion, it's kind of like the wild west of IEMs and earbuds and like the audio products. Kind of like a black market because it's from lesser known companies that are trying a whole lot of new things, different things. They're trying to add as many drivers as they can to just stand out from an already pretty crowded IEM market. So the NS10s, which we're checking out today, comes in at $179. I have also seen them at $169. So what you have is a high-res audio certified pair of IEMs, which has 10 drivers total. It has 2 dynamic drivers and 8 balanced armature drivers in each ear. And so you have a mixture of Knowles balanced armature drivers, you have Sony drivers, and then you also have some custom drivers here, which basically leads to a very interesting sound because these drivers are allowed to kind of separate itself and handle each frequency. You don't have like one driver trying to handle everything. And I'm not saying that having the most amount of drivers means you're going to get the most out of your sound, but it definitely helps with separating things. And what it also does is it keeps them from being distorted. It keeps them from being muddy or congested because you don't have one driver trying to handle everything. Now, some other interesting things about these is they're pretty much as customizable as you can make them. They come with 3 different screw brass filters, and these filters you just screw onto the nozzle of the IEMs, and it's supposed to kind of alter the sound. It's like having your EQ, but manually being able to do it on the bud itself. And so the silver version they say is for pop music, the red one they say is more of a balanced sound, and the gold is the hi-fi. Now the silver one is the one that it has out of the box because I think this one is what they're seeing as being more consumer friendly. And some other things that make this one kind of customizable is all of the accessories you're getting inside the box. You're getting 3 different types of jacks that you can just change on the end so that you can plug them into anything that has a 3.5mm plug-in, a 2.5mm plug-in, and a 4.4mm plug-in. And then it comes with a pretty nice hard case. It is white, which kind of has me a little worried because this is just going to pick up fingerprints and dirt pretty easily. And it also comes with 3 sets of vocal ear tips, which are silicone. They have 3 sets of bass ear tips, which are also silicone. And it comes with 1 pair of foam ear tips. So even choosing the ear tips is going to alter the sound. So you pretty much have a lot you can play around with. You can change around filters and then combine it with, different ear tips to see what's like the right combination. Again, I'm not a fan of foam ear tips, so I didn't find myself using these. And my personal preference was the vocal ear tips with this silver plated filter. And I'll explain that a little bit more once we get to the sound. But as far as the IEMs themselves, it's a single piece of aluminum. Now the nozzle on these are fairly shallow. That keeps these from really sticking out of your ear. They're a lot more low profile than a lot of other IEMs that I've tested. It comes with a nice braided silver plated cable, and it's using the MMCX connector. So it's not using the 2-pin, which is normally more common when it comes to IEMs, but I do like the fact that it has this MMCX connector because I also have a Bluetooth adapter so that I can use these wirelessly if I want to, and I'll put a link to all of this in the description. But this is a very comfortable pair of IEMs. The cable, even though it has this nice thicker feel to it, once you have them positioned in your ears and you have the cable wrapped around your ears, I didn't notice any kind of movement. I didn't feel weight pulling on my ears, and I could wear these for a long period of time. Now, as far as actually being able to drive these and get the sound that you want, it does have a low impedance level of only 12 ohms. So if you're going to just plug this straight into like your laptop or your Nintendo Switch or anything that just has a normal headphone jack, you'll easily be able to get plenty of volume out of them. But I still found myself using these with the Moondrop amp that I have. It's just a simple USB-C amp that I plug straight into my phone, and that opens these up quite a bit. So, this is general practice for any IEM and headphone. There are some that you're going to get plenty of volume and plenty of bass and treble and things like that if you just plug them straight into devices. But I always recommend using a DAC or using an amp to be able to really open them up and get more out of each frequency. But the sound on these overall, now again, this is with the silver plated filter and the vocal ear tips. It's really bright. It's really punchy, and mids, no matter what I was listening to, always had a really nice presence. Now, the mids on these aren't pushed like extremely forward. I think this is probably the one thing that they left alone the most, but the treble can get quite bright, which again, I'm a huge fan of. And the bass has a somewhat subwoofer type feel, but it's always tight. So it's not extremely loose like a lot of the other bass head type earbuds or IEMs that I'm used to. Comparing these to the Eco OH10s, which again is probably my favorite bass pair of IEMs, it doesn't have as loose as bass as those, but it is much tighter than the OH10. So it's more enjoyable to listen to across all genres. I feel like I could go from like pop, hip hop to metal to easy listening, and it always really stood out no matter what I was listening to. So this is a very good overall earbud, and mixing that with the fact that the soundstage and the sound imaging is so impressive on these, it definitely made me feel like I was in a really large room, and I never had any issue with being able to tell where different sounds were coming from. So if I'm gonna grade these into the different genres, this is pretty much one of the easiest pairs I've had to review. When it comes to pop and hip hop, I would give these a 9. When it comes to rock and metal, I would give these a 10. When it comes to easy listening, I would give these a 10. Also, with using these with different types of media like movies and TV shows and games and podcasts, I would give them a 10 here. And so my overall rating is a solid 9. This is one of the best sounding IEMs that I've tested when it comes to being able to just alter the sound in a bunch of different ways. It's not trying to be flat or reference style type IEM. So, if you're a purist and you're looking for something that has a flat sound signature, this is one of the furthest things from it. No matter what nozzle you use, no matter what ear tip you use, you're not going to be able to get that flat sound. So do keep that in mind. And really, the overall consensus of these is the sound is fantastic. The customization when it comes to the sound, because of all of the different options you get, is very nice. And again, this is what makes these stand out from a lot of the more mainstream consumer IEMs. You get a really nice case. You're getting nice accessories. It feels good. It's comfortable. And it is a very dynamic sounding pair of IEMs that you don't necessarily need an amp with. But pairing it with the right amp, it's amazing what you can get out of these. So yeah, this is an easy pair to recommend unless you're a purist looking for something flat, but I've enjoyed using these, and this has kind of been my go-to IEMs. But guys, that's my video on the BGVP NS10s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.